out the gate, we see Damon off his wife. You think he was gonna let her be before she kind of, took her last jab at him? I don't know. I'm on the fence because why would you go through all of that just to let her live? What
Oh,
do
he
what do
definitely
you
didn't
think?
let her live. According to her cousin, he definitely offed her.
No,
That
right. But I mean, remember once she fell off the horse, he was kind of like walking away. Then she was like, I knew you couldn't finish, which is a recurring
Oh,
theme in his life, literally not finishing. So then he picks up the stone. That's why I said, do you think? I don't know, because it might be stupid for me to assume he would let her live
not
unless he
really.
saw. Well, then she'd be able to talk unless he just make it look like natural causes, thinking nobody would find her, because
Yeah,
otherwise she would be able to talk.
that's exactly what I thought. Because it's not like, today where your neighbor could
That's true.
probably hear you scream. She rode out into the wilderness, but had someone found her, she could speak and say who did that to her. But it did look like he was walking away. And I think he is evil enough because to me, he's not even just a bad boy. Damien is a mess. I don't even know what to think now, but I think he would have just let her suffer, which is also a terrible outcome. But the fact that he beat her, imagine he probably bashed her head in, kind of like the scene that happened later on in the same episode.
But let me tell you though, how I expected a bit more from Corliss's dwellings. I was really expecting more for this man to be like the king of the sea, have fleets, this, that, and the third. So it was kind of underwhelming for me. But I was glad to see it was a peaceful welcome and a peaceful exchange. But of course, that's because both families were getting ready to get something out of the deal. But did you catch how Corliss was? Well, he was trying more or less to go ahead and sneak in the Valerian name into the
Mm-hmm.
lineage, and Viserys was just like, "Listen, I hear what you're trying to do, but no, everybody that sits on that throne is gonna carry the Targaryen name." We also learn that Corlys is in denial because we know he knows about his son's sexuality because his wife literally had to remind him. He even says that he thinks his son's gonna grow out of it. I'm just like, that's not quite how these things work. Now, Rhaenys, you could tell she's at this point, she's very concerned about her child in this. And she even admits, she says, look, my time has come and is gone. I know I'll never reign and I'm over it. But she does know that her son is capable of getting caught up in the crosshairs. And we know by that thing's called the Dance of the Dragons, we know something's getting ready to go down. And she knows that Laenor will be a casualty of the war because as long as Rhaenyra, unfortunately, as long as she is set to take the throne, somebody's going to absolutely challenge that for the reasons you mentioned, just for the simple fact that she did not win the gender lottery.
And then if you think about it, not only is she a woman, imagine if all the townspeople found out that their queen, they're under the rulership of a queen and her husband is gay. That would just tear the townspeople and their faith in everything. I mean, I don't know how they feel about homosexuality, but it doesn't seem like it's open, even though in medieval times, like real history, there was a lot more homosexuality going around.
Right.
It
And you
wasn't
banging your
necessarily
damn sisters, cousin, mothers, and brothers. Like y'all pick a struggle. Damn.
right. But I think it's interesting, like how you mentioned Corliss's denial reminds me a lot of how like the Christian church treats homosexuality as if it's something you can just pray away, as something that people would just
Grow out of.
outgrow. Yeah, and that's just literally not how any of that works. And I did empathize with his mother. I see where she was coming from because it's like you are really putting her son in a predicament. Like there's only so much you can do. I imagine it was hard enough for him to hide his homosexuality from everyone else. His close family is probably only one that knows, plus his boyfriend. But now he's going to be in the spotlight. And even when he and Rhaenyra were talking about how they wanted to arrange their marriage, where yeah, we'll play the part, but we'll do our own thing. Like It's always amazing to me where people in the spotlight think that they have places they can hide. It's kind of like Rhaenyra and the brothel. She was like, "Yeah, I can take my hat off and show my white hair, and nobody will notice." I just I don't know why she thinks they could just do their own thing and nobody will pay attention.
As the scene progresses, we do get to see, which you had already alluded to, we do get to see Laenor and his boyfriend, which I didn't think one way or another about him when I first seen him, but as the show progressed, I was just like, this fucker. I'm almost glad he got what he got, to be honest, because he was doing too much. He was
He
doing a
was.
whole lot and unnecessarily, just for no fucking reason. He was just doing too much.
And it
But
was too soon. I was like, you don't
right,
even know, oh boy. And you're whispering that to him, like that's just too much. You don't know where his emotions were. I'll
but
scale it back because I'm
and it
jumping
wasn't
ahead
even
of it, but
necessary.
it wasn't not at the party at the very least. Like shit, get to
But
know him
Dani, though,
first.
seriously, when would it have been necessary? Seriously, when? Because if your boyfriend and his girl, if everybody know they don't feeling each other like that, nothing's ever gonna come of it. She's literally no threat to you. I don't understand why he felt like he had to even say anything at all. I don't get it.
Yeah, it was definitely he was in his
Maybe I'm missing
feelings.
something.
No, I think it was just a purely emotional move on his part. He wanted to feel like he had an ally in a situation where his lover is being forced to marry someone else. So maybe he thought he can have a friend.
So
Yeah, I think he was just trying to bond because they're both knights to the newlywed. There's no excuse for it. At the very least, it was too soon. It wasn't
I agree. At the very least,
appropriate.
I do. What do you think about Kristen's knee jerk proposal? I knew she wasn't going to say yes because we wouldn't have a series if she did. We would not have shit to watch if she said yes. But I honestly don't. I don't get why he even turned down. I know it wasn't ideal, but I don't know why he turned down her alternative proposition though. We still get to be sex buddies, love each other, da 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 da. But I'm gonna sit on this
Yeah.
throne. But he wanted her to run away. Run away with her. And the thing is, the whole time, girl, I'm looking at the screen like Rhaenyra. The kingdom don't want you anyway. You really kind of didn't even want to do this. You wanted to live your life. You could have rode all the dragons and Christians you wanted. Girl, go be free. Have fun. But no.
That was an interesting scene to me about both of them, some of which you've already alluded to. In terms of Rhaenyra, this is a girl who, for the last 4 episodes, insisted on her own independence, didn't care about the throne too much. I mean, she was named, but you can tell she's not like invested in it the way, say, Damon, as crazy as he is, like she doesn't really, and it could be that when I say she's a woman, I don't mean like, she's incapable of it, but I mean like because she's a woman and women of that time were not really positioned to ever be on the throne. So she's kind of like, she wasn't really prepared to be an heir. But for someone who's been insisting on doing things her own way and having her own lovers, if she is going to have a lover, I was surprised that she turned his offer down. For him, I was just surprised that he did it so soon. But then again, I guess, you're accompanying her everywhere she goes with, choosing a mate, a suitor. So I imagine his jealousy is growing inside of him. But the way he lashed out at her about her proposal or her alternative, like,
Yeah, I was
you want
shook.
me to be your whore, and I'm like, there goes
Right.
patriarchy again. It's like nobody thinks about women being the side piece, but as soon as you're being asked to be the side piece, all of a sudden you're against it. Like,
Yeah, I had
clearly
the
she
same
likes you.
response.
But she never was the type to want to go get married. So I don't know why he was surprised by that. But I was surprised that she didn't want to run away to live the life that she wanted to live. Like all of a sudden she's now committed to the throne. I'm like, okay, girl, figure it out.
I really think she's just looking at this as a challenge. And honestly, Dani, it's one she does not have to take. She does not
Yeah.
have to.
I
She
also
saw her
think
aunt.
that, yeah, I was going to say, I think also, even though we didn't get like the story behind the story, but I think with her father letting Hightower go, probably pumped her up too. Like, oh, snap, we got rid of the hand. He's the one causing me issues. Maybe I can do this queen thing. And she's also like in her early 20s. So she don't really know. But nevertheless,
Okay, I can see that. I just remembered when her aunt turned to her. So remember when Viserys and Lena was walking and obviously talking about them potentially courting, but back up on the balcony, Rhaenys turned to her and just in so many words said they'll never let a woman reign, see what they did to
mhm,
me. And Rhaenyra, true to form, is just like, oh, challenge accepted. So that's more
yeah.
or less what I'm trying to say. And I'm like,
Yeah,
sis,
yeah.
pick and choose your battles, pick fewer than that, and go back in that bushel and pick fewer than that.
I also think she has a loyalty to her dad. She did promise her dad that she would play the part and marry Laenor if he promised to get rid of the hand or Hightower. And he did his, and I feel like she's just fulfilling hers, but she's not in it. She's not invested in it. Like she's just, I think it's a power trip, like you're saying. But we'll see. We'll see how she does.
At some point, Allison is back in the courtyard, and the son, I believe, of the new hand,
He's so messy, which makes
as
me think, is
hell,
his daddy
girl.
messy too? Because
Right.
I like his dad. I mean, so far, he seems to be somewhat, I don't know, maybe honest is putting it too far because I don't know. I feel like all these people have ulterior motives, but I was
But who?
surprised that he is as messy as he is compared to his dad. Planting seeds in Allison's head, and then she's already got her
Mm-hmm.
dad in her head. But when she does finally walk in to the marriage feast intentionally late, and at first I couldn't figure out why Viserys was looking at her all crazy. I was like, yeah, she's late, but you look scared to death. But then if you remember, her peoples or somebody off to the side said something about when her house, whatever house she's from, Hightower and them, when they wear green, that's like
Mm-hmm.
a time of war, or
Mm-hmm.
not a time of war, but
No,
signaling.
that's their war flag is the color green. So when they pull out that green war flag, you're right. It's game time. It's game on.
Yeah. So with her walking in that green dress, I was like, maybe Viserys got the message and was trying to figure out what the hell. Whoa.
Right.
Um,
Now, remind you, he was talking to someone, and that same guy, he kind of gave that nod to that go ahead to go get her, and her being Rhaenyra. That's why I'm like, I'm missing something because the guy he sent in to rescue Rhaenyra out of the whole crowd was who to him? You don't remember?
um, yeah, I remember, but that was just another night. But
Okay.
I don't know. It's a night that the hand that answers to the hand or something, because the
Mm,
hand is the one that sent him out to save Rhaenyra. But I don't know what that guy
gotcha. Because I
actually
just looked
is.
up, I was like, he's got quite a bit of power just to look at this man and this man clear a damn path and go get Rhaenyra. But to answer your first question, when they were in the courtyard, Sir Messy Boots, he just so happened to tell Allison about Rhaenyra receiving tea, thinking
Mm-hmm.
she was sick or something. And that's when Allison was like, okay, let me put two and two together. And then she calls Criston in to see what he knows, because she's expecting him, since he, shadows Rhaenyra, follows Rhaenyra, essentially covers over her and watches her. Surely Criston would know if she had snuck out or had something going on with Damon.
Mm-hmm.
And,
His
so she's
dumbass.
fishing. And she cast that line and she hooked a fish she wasn't expecting. And he didn't know neither. He didn't know what she was looking for. So
He
he
should
ended
have
up
just
just
let her
fishing.
finish. I knew he was gonna
Right.
snitch. I was like, this man is filled with jealousy. I don't know if it's rage yet, but I know that he's just filled with envy and jealousy, and it's like he couldn't hold it anymore. I am curious about what her plans are for him, and what her being Allison, what she's thinking. I clearly she's scooping up allies. So maybe she's thinking if she can hook the knight
Damn, that's a good
closest
point. Because she
to
did just stop the
Rhaenyra.
boy from killing himself. You're right.
Yeah. And so I'm like,
Shit.
she clearly has a role for him, but the only role I could think of why he would be useful is if he is supposed to save Rhaenyra for something, because that's part of his job. But if, she commands him not to do it, I don't know. But I feel like she's building allies. Allison, she never came off as, aloof or dumb or anything to me. I always thought that she was wiser than Rhaenyra and a good friend, but I feel like you want her as a friend and not an enemy, because Allison seems like she knows how to get her circle right.
Let me ask you this. So when Allison is talking to Criston, obviously she expected to hear something about Rhaenyra and Daemon, not necessarily that to learn. She was super surprised to learn that Criston and Rhaenyra had something. I had trouble reading her response to that, her reaction to that, because I didn't get the relief feeling from her, as if she was saying, who, Rhaenyra didn't lie to me. Like, she still seemed extra troubled and complex. Like, why would she care if Rhaenyra had slept with, you know, like I just didn't get a response from her that mattered. Like, she seemed like she was hurt by hearing that answer. I couldn't read
Yeah,
her.
same. I was the same exact way. I was like, what the hell is she feeling right now? Like, I don't have an answer other than maybe she's just building her circle. Because Rhaenyra she didn't not only tell her she didn't have sex with Daemon, I think she also still painted the picture that she was still a virgin too. So she might have been processing that, because like, even if she's like, okay, she didn't have sex with Daemon, but she had sex with a knight, technically still lying to me. Um, and I don't know if Rhaenyra, and maybe she was thinking if Rhaenyra, well, no, because he's not allowed to marry. That was part of his knighthood, right? They swear to not. Well, then again, maybe not, because the guy from the Lannister family was trying to marry her and he's a knight. I don't know how this system works. Anyway, I was thinking maybe she felt some way, like if they would have had a baby together, that the baby would be a threat to Aegon. So she's trying to scoop up Criston so that that's not a possibility. I don't know, girl. I was with you. I was confused. She wanted to keep him alive, not once, but twice. And I can understand the second time, because it was very clear to me that she's trying to build an allyship. But I was just like you. I don't know the purpose of the first time.
Yeah, we're nearing the end of the episode, and again, I'm just super confused about why Laenor's boyfriend really just feel like he needed to rub that into Kristen's
Mm-hmm.
face, but we'll figure that out too, right? But I
Will
don't
we?
think they
Because he's
show.
dead.
That's true. That's true. Well, I meant it'll be revealed to us the why, but I don't understand either why Criston had to do that. Why he felt like he had to do that in that moment, because
I
he had
don't
remember the
think that
guy
he
said what
did.
he said, walked off, and that was that. I thought.
No, I don't think that he felt like, I think that he really is not in the right mental space. I think he's filled with envy. He was turned down by a woman. He feels played. He feels like the whore. Like, he has so much emotion. It's what I imagine some of these Hotep woke book folks who are consider themselves alpha male, and women are supposed to submit to men, and then here is this woman not submitting to him. I just think he's filled with raw emotion, and not only is Rhaenyra marrying Laenor instead of him. Now he finds out that Laenor is gay. And like you were saying, you would think he'd be like, oh, okay, well, they're not going to have sex
Right.
then, and we
That's
could
why I'm
do our
confused.
thing. But I think that just hurt his pride even more. And he's just a mess. But yeah, that was a
Well,
interesting
and the
scene.
reason I asked is because remember when Lenor's boyfriend, if anybody does know the guy's name, feel free to drop it in the comments. But when the guy walked over to Criston and he said what he had to say, being super messy, like you said. Eventually, the conversation ended and he walked off. They never
Mm-hmm.
showed us how they got back engaged again, or if they did at all. We just automatically saw the crowd collapse and push, and Kristen is just like beating the dude's head in. So I'm saying, what transpired at that point? Did something else
Yeah.
happen at that point? That's what I'm saying. I didn't see anything. They had ended the first conversation. So, but maybe
Yeah.
like you said, it was just that ticking time bomb. But
Yeah.
girl, yeah, and just near the end, Damon had the unmitigated gall, girl, to rub salt in that wound, add insult to injury by asking that man about his damn inheritance after the man already suspects Damon of killing his damn cousin. So
Mm-hmm. That's
Damon
why I
being a hot
said
mess
Damon is
again.
evil. I mean, I know
True.
people probably still rooting for him, but he's not just a bad boy. He has escalated to the worst of the Targaryens. I felt sorry for that guy because it was quite the insult. And then, he's coming for her inheritance and the ruler house. Like, I don't know, but and Viserys is looking like, maybe I didn't hold this kingdom together as well as I thought, because my brother's about to start a war with his his late wife's family. My wife's dressed in green, ready to go to war with me and my daughter, and he's got scabs times 10 now. He's just a mess. Viserys is dying. He's gross. He's diseased.
Honey,
Um,
but Sarah's got one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. Any day now. I'm surprised he didn't made it to episode 5. And spoiler alert, based on the previews, he's holding on still in episode 6, but he's on his
oh
way out.
wow. And you saw Allison, she cared a tiny bit, but when he passed out in the courtyard, she just kind of looked. And I think her dad had just really told her also that Viserys isn't going to live much longer. And so I feel like seeing him pass out in the courtyard when he returned from seeing Corlys was like a wake-up call for her.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah,
it is interesting.
her dad definitely put the battery in her back. I see what you're saying because she presented a little different, a little softer, a little more patient. Is probably the best
Mm-hmm.
way to put it in the beginning. But you're right. Once he said what he said and she threw on that green war flag,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. But episode 6, girl, I'm ready for it. I'm here. I'm excited.
Me too. I also want to see what transpires between Lena and Damon. I know we should probably cut it short, but I want to see because that was an interesting scene between them on when they were dancing and talking, and she kind of looked like she was intrigued by him.
Quick
So
question though, before we really wrap it up, just want to know, Danny, do you know anything about them beyond what you know now, or
about the
do
two of
you
them that I
know?
just mentioned,
Yeah.
I do not. I try not to
Okay,
look
good.
at the fan stuff because I like to be surprised.
Awesome. Good. So we'll keep it juicy and secret for you. But girl, damn young and the restless as the world turns ain't got shit on this right here. So we will catch y'all next Sunday.